What's up, Flannelverse? About to embark on the second half of my journey to 150 streamed Best Ball Mania drafts. My journey to become the oldest person to ever stream all 150 Best Ball Mania drafts in the history of the entire world. I'm here today with data scientist Billy Jones back on the channel. Excited to have Billy joining once again. Billy, what have you been up to? What do you got going on?
Just big, like fully into best ball summer. As we were talking before, hockey just dropped, so that'll be a fun little twist to do in there. And also just all of the various different tournaments that are on Underdog. So been up to that, and then over at Spike Week producing content, and that's been a ton of fun.
And you were saying that you are right now, you're kind of taking a break from NFL best ball. What is your reasoning there? Why are you taking a break right now from NFL best ball?
Yeah, it's not break. It's like slowed down. So I think
Okay.
that there's very clear value to like a target at the beginning, and then there's very clear like information value at the end. And while I want to continue to get like Billy Jones style drafts in different ADP landscapes throughout the summer, I want to like push more to a certain part and more to a certain part, a different part. So like that's why like this is the window where it's just a bit lower. So like it's only like a couple drafts a week rather than like couple drafts a day in certain times of the window. So this one's a little bit different. It's kind of that's where I'm at.
Yeah, we should have more. I think training camp starts in like a week. So we'll hopefully
Hmm.
start getting a little bit more information starting in about a week. But then, yeah, we just get more and more information throughout the summer. I agree. It's a little bit of a like down period right now. We're just not getting a ton of news. Like I'm looking for it daily. What are the rumblings going on? And it's pretty hard to find stuff right now. Relative to what it's going to be in like a month. So definitely makes some sense to slow down a little bit right now mid-July and then ramp up later, unless you're doing
Hmm.
content and you wanna be drafting throughout the summer to get it done. I have not looked at
Yeah.
what the fill is at right now for BBM. Um, if I'm gonna need to be like ramping up my best ball mania to get them in before the contest fills, because I know it here. I'm gonna pull up the screen. We're gonna jump into a draft in a minute here. If
Yeah.
anybody
So it's
wants.
about 38%, and I don't
Oh,
know what like the historical was, but I do. I mean, it definitely picks up pace towards like later in the
yeah.
season, right? Of drafting. Are you trying to like match the tournament? Like, do you have like a general like schedule or plan that you're following?
Not really. So part of the issue for that is, like I said, I have said my goal is to stream all 150. The issue is I have two vacations coming up, so I kind of need to stay ahead of the schedule. At the end of July, I'll be doing a probably week-long vacation with my family, and then my wife and I are also making plans in like late August. So I kind of think I might need to get it all done before we go on that second vacation in late August. So I kind of need to stay like actually ahead of the pace of Best Ball Mania. So it's good that I'm 50% done. We're at 38% right now, but I actually might want to pick up the pace a little bit more. Gonna have to kind of play it by ear in August. I think I might have to do like a marathon stream or two to really make sure I get it done. If it does like ramp up to the point where I'm worried about it filling before I'm back from vacation, I'll do that. But yeah, just kind of playing it by ear at this point.
Yeah, I have a very similar. I'm getting married at the end of August, and then
Oh,
the honeymoon into the like the beginning of the season. So like I have to get all of my stuff done before like middle of August. So I'm in the same kind of boat with you there.
how is the wedding planning going?
It's going good. I mean, it's just like we're pretty like we're planners, both of us.
Oh,
So
that's
we
good.
try to get stuff like done early, but it's inevitable crunch towards the end of it, right? That you can't do until like there's only so many meetings that can happen until the last couple months. So
True.
we're kind of feeling it a little bit, but it's been good so far.
Yeah, inevitably you're going to
Hmm.
coming up close to the wedding. But good to hear you're on top of it. We are about to jump into a draft. Nathan, good to see you. Who Hames, good to see you as well. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I'm going to enter a draft. If you want to jump in this draft with us, we're going to do it now. It sounds like Billy probably just joined us for the first draft, but oh, it's doing this thing again. All right, I'm going to join on my phone. I don't know why this is just started happening to me where signing up on my
Hmm.
computer it won't let me. So I'm going to jump on my phone and then enter. All right, two more, one more. Okay. Hopefully that means that anybody who wanted to join with us got in. Okay, we're good.
I was gonna say if it was gonna take a little bit of time, I was gonna see if you wanted me to go head to head with you, but this will be fun. Um, either way.
Yeah, no. I think it's fun either way, to be honest.
Hmm.
But this will be fun. We got the 6-hole here. I see Chris gets here in the 2-hole. Jeremy in the 3-hole. We're at the 6.
So what
Good.
overlay do you use? I know that's been a big conversation is tools, tools, tools. Which one is this?
This one is the Bricks Draft Caddy.
Hmm.
This is the only one that I've used so far. I'm gonna try out and he actually I have not updated it. So he actually DM'd me and said that he has an update for the Draft Caddy. I have not updated it yet. I also have been meaning to try the Best Ball Overlay, new one that Pat from the Pounders came out with.
Hmm.
I've not signed up for the Sidekick yet, just because the price is so high, and I missed the
Yeah,
original
for sure.
discount. So for now, just using these ones.
Hmm. I think it is pretty cool. I'm waiting for there to be like a statement, but until then, I feel like we're in a little bit of limbo. But
A
um,
statement like from DraftKings or sorry, from Underdog, that they're allowing it.
that yeah, what and like what the how far people can push it and all of that stuff. But I'm sure I don't know.
Yeah, so I know that that at least the Sidekick team, like, they were in constant communication with
Hmm.
Underdog. Um, who do you like here? Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Yeah, for sure. I like setting up that 49ers game.
Yeah, it's a I mean, it's a top total, right, of week 17. I'm pretty sure that has
Hmm.
the highest implied total right now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
it's a
like
fun.
he's like so stable and consistent. Like I know we hunt spike weeks, but he has also got like the best floor that you can have too, which makes like you get a little bit more like comfortable taking some bigger swings later in the draft.
Yep. Um, I also recall from the first time you were on the show, that you're like a 100%. At the time, you were doing all zero RB, as I recall. Is that correct? And are you still doing that?
I'm still doing it. It's at least for now. I'm definitely the late information is something that I think for running backs is like very important because
True.
one thing we're doing is we're like what are the risks with running backs that for some reason they're not going to get the touches for health or whatever, and if we can wait on that information and like I feel more comfortable about these running backs that I'm like banking on being like the anchor, still being there. So I did. Was sitting in the 12 hole yesterday and got like a Brees Hall share come up to me. I'm just like, oh, like this is not the time to commit to the bit. But I stuck with my guns and did wide receivers, even though like in my heart it felt wrong.
So you sent Brees Hall to the 14 hole, got Brees Hall.
Yes,
Oh,
that you
damn.
got on Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall was. I'm like so jealous of that
All right,
turn, but
next time you and I are gonna draft together, so I can be getting that 11 hole and just like, please, come on, Billy, just stick to your guns, because that feels good to get the 13 hole. Did he? If he got Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall?
he did.
Do you
That was
remember?
the play, and
That
I'm
that's
like,
the
"Ooh,
dream.
that
That's what
feels."
I'm always trying to do.
Yeah, it's like that was beautiful. I'm like, oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah. All right, we are coming back up to our pick.
Hmm.
Luckily, we have just a whole sea of wide receivers right here.
Yeah. So where would you go with this pick?
Probably
Or
Ayuk.
so Ayuk or Debo, I guess.
Yeah, I think I like my inclination would be Ayuk, partially just because of the ADP. Um, but I'm good with either. Do you prefer one over the other?
I think I've been playing more Debo just because of the like. It feels like there's more built-in ceiling that way. Um,
There's also a
rather than.
higher likelihood of Ayuk getting traded, I think. So if you're going for this game stack,
Hmm.
maybe a little more. I mean, I still think it's a pretty low likelihood of Ayuk getting traded, but that would be ideal for our Debo share.
Yeah, and it's such a flat tier. I think you can kind of
Yeah,
get away with whatever. And I that's been one I've been setting up. I'm very intentional about which like combinations of players I have, and that's one that I've been like I really have fun drafting.
nice. Best ball on call. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for coming and hanging out. Yeah, this has been happening. I was able, like, one time I was able to refresh and get into it on my computer. But apparently it's an issue again, getting into these drafts. Got to do it on my phone. Yeah, pick 3 is a pretty good spot, Jeremy. It's not my favorite because I think just because I'm not super into Tyreek Hill, and I sort of feel like you need to take him there. So I don't know. It's not my. I prefer like I think the 5 hole might be my favorite. But you can make a good team from anywhere. I think. Yeah, you can't get rid of me. C40. Almond Deep asks, can't people collude in BBM if they queue at the same time? Theoretically, they could, but Underdog has, I think, pretty strong checks on collusion. So I think it's hard to pull off in a meaningful way. What do you
Yeah,
think of that, Billy?
I think that in the dailies, it's like more of a pain
Yeah,
because of the draft size. Um, and like there have been drafts where I sat in the draft and especially in the dailies, the four-man slates. I'm like, I wasn't colluding, and I have an insane team right now. Don't take this away from me, Underdog, but
right.
they will if
Yep.
it's just like completely improper. So I'm not overly concerned about it.
Let's make this pick here. So we have Detroit, San Francisco stack going. Sometimes I will reach to get Sam Laporta when I have him on St. Brown.
Hmm.
But do you have a preference here?
How about Zay Flowers here? I like that because what it will do is set us up with like Lamar potentially.
Yep.
And if we don't get Lamar, then we can kind of just continue on to later quarterbacks. But um, yeah, that's I think that's a good way to play it.
Yeah, we're actually in like the spot on the board, and I don't know that I don't usually reach for Zay Flowers here, but it's kind of a good spot to get Zay Flowers because I think it's
Hmm.
more likely than not that Lamar will be available to us at 43. And then with Lamar off the board, it makes it a little bit more likely that Andrews comes back to us at 54. I don't think I have that triple stack at all so far as Zay Flowers. I've tried it a couple times with Zay Flowers at some parts of the third round, but I think I've tried doing it a little bit later and then Andrews goes. I feel like this might be like the perfect position to try to get the triple if that's something you want to make your goal.
Yeah, and all you have to do is move one like Zay up a little bit, and it works for you.
Yep.
So it's like the ADP movement has made this more viable now than it was when the tournament started. Um, yeah, so if that comes our way, let's try that.
Yeah, for sure. Nathan says he doesn't think a statement will come out until after. Yeah, I kind of feel like the fact that they have not made a statement so far, probably an indication that they're not planning to in the short term. I mean, they could. Who knows? Maybe they will any
Hmm.
minute, but they have. I've seen there have been people on Twitter like pressuring Underdog. You gotta make a statement. Tell us why this is allowed. There's one guy in particular who's like super mad about all of the overlays,
Hmm.
and they have
Yeah,
responded to it. So
yeah, and the thing that like, and I maybe I don't know that this is what is true, but like there's like very clear governing bodies for like gambling, but this
mhm.
is a game that's not that far off. Is there like a fantasy sports governing body that would make rules like this, or
You
not
would think
really?
I would know that, but I don't know. I can't sports bet here in Minnesota, so I'm actually not
Hmm.
that into gambling. I'm more into fantasy sports.
Yeah, for me as well. Like I don't know. I still get like the same level of like enjoyment out of winning a
Yeah,
bet as I have like just having a draft and feeling like I crushed a draft and I have no clue what happens afterwards.
right. Yeah, right. I mean, like DFS. Just I
Um,
love DFS. I love the daily drafts. All anything where it's like peer to peer is more fun for me. I actually love
mhm,
Pick Six, which is sort of borderline. Like it's pretty close to being just straight up gambling, but it's still peer to peer. Like there's still an element of like reading what other people are going to do, trying to take advantage of other people's mistakes.
mhm.
Because
So
I'd rather play
Ruffle,
against other people than against the house. Never fun to
yeah,
play
for
against the
sure.
house. National Grantham. It's an interesting name. No data. Did not play BBM last year. I think that's all that means. Goes Mahomes. So feels pretty good to get Lamar like after all the other elite quarterbacks are off the board.
Pretty clean this way. And if you so this is in last year I did a bunch of drafts, but I have one BBM. So I'm curious as what it would show for me from last year.
I
So
think
I think
it,
it'll
it
show
only it only
one.
shows you your one. Yeah, your one BBM. That's exactly what it would show.
And I remember doing it and being like getting couple rounds in, and then realizing it was a BBM that I had entered and not one of those lower stakes tournaments. And I was like, this was not what I wanted,
Yeah.
but it's okay. Um, it did not advance.
Kid Calzone goes Andrews at 45, so not going to get the double stack,
Hmm.
which kind of like it's 50-50. I mean, it's worse than 50-50 that you'll get Andrews at 54. I think even when you take Lamar, I think it's worse than 50-50 odds. But still a bummer.
Yeah, and there's not really another way to do it though. Like,
No.
so you kind of give it a try, and if it comes your way, it comes your way. If not, you still have a pretty clean stack, and then the other game is already set up too. Um, so we're in a really good spot here.
Yeah. I actually, in a vacuum, prefer McBride to Andrews. Obviously, with Lamar, I prefer to just go Andrews. But who do you like here? I'll start by ADP.
I think McBride is the play here.
Okay. Yeah,
This is just
McBride at 54 is feels
great
good.
value,
Yeah.
and this is like a very clean zero RB start. We're gonna have three awesome receivers, two elite onesies, not chasing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm liking this start. Even without getting the Andrews dream double stack to fall, you don't really need Lamar to be double stacked. And like I said, I prefer McBride anyway, so feeling good about it. We could actually, now that we have McBride, we could do the likely later on too if we wanted to.
Hmm. Question: how much other tournaments are you playing? Are you playing like in a bunch of the small stakes,
Yeah.
lower stakes?
Yep. I'm
Are you
playing all
getting
those.
okay? So like, you're gonna be in the closer to the 1,000 drafts bucket.
The goal is I want to do at least 500, which I think I'm going to get to pretty easily. My guess is I don't get to 1,000. Like I'm a little bit over 200 right now. With half my BBMs left, I'll continue to do some of the smaller ones, but I don't think that I'm actually 200. That's only standard, and I guess I assume the Gladiator program actually includes like Superflex and all the other. Like I assume it includes weekly winners and Eliminator and stuff. In which case, if it does include all those, maybe 1,000 is going to be within my reach. I'm not totally sure.
I would think so, and then I would hope it include all the other sports that they host.
Yeah, I think of those as all being best ball. Like it's best ball by
Like
I don't know.
you're gonna have baseball playoff best ball coming up, and that's
Yeah,
always fun. Any of the playoff stuff is a ton of fun.
I do love playoff best ball in general. I've not played
Hmm.
MLB playoff best ball.
It's got like the what's it called? Like the games played like puzzle piece, just like you do with like
Yeah,
hockey and in basketball,
yeah,
which I think is really interesting. Um, but yeah, I didn't play in it last year, but I could see how it'd be a ton of fun. That's definitely something that's on my radar.
yeah.
Are you gonna stream other sports as well?
I don't know. I mean, not in the short term. I don't love doing MLB content. Actually, MLB dailies, I could get behind it. Like I think MLB dailies are kind of fun, but I haven't been playing a ton. I've just been so focused on NFL this season. Could see myself doing NBA content at some point. Um, yeah, I'd be. I think NFL and NBA my most likely for sure. All right, anybody stand out to you here? Could go
Hmm.
Kittle, throw it onto the San Francisco stack.
Um,
Here's
I don't
ADP.
know. That's a lot. That's a lot of tight end.
We could do Mixon as
Um,
our bring back for the Baltimore stack.
yeah, let's do Mixon, and I haven't really done a ton of running backs. This is not a running back I've selected yet this year, so it's good to get off of me what I normally do if I'm going to be
Mix
kind
it
of
up a little.
driving.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it also is like correlated and lines up nicely, so it's like
yeah.
let's do it.
This is a good point. But Nathan says it would be too messy mid BBM to make a stance against the tool since they've been allowed to this point. That is actually a really good point. Like people have been using them, so now you're going to tell people going forward you can't. So these other people have already used them. They've got the advantage of these tools. Now you can't use them.
Hmm.
That is a very good point there. Good morning, Benny. Yeah, six is according to Scott Barrett. The six hole is the best hole. Like historically, the highest EV comes from the 6 hole, which kind of makes sense. Like it's the earlier part of the middle point, but then you get more falling values, I would assume, in the middle of the draft, and just having the earlier pick. I can kind of see why that would be the case. What up, Justin? What up, Tyler? Oh, interesting. Who says it includes all and even golf and basketball, I believe. All right, I might have a shot at 1,000 then.
Were you playing some of the golf?
I played the what is it called? The Masters is one of the there was like a PGA best ball that was just like the majors. Oh yeah, I
Majors,
didn't
yeah.
majors best ball. I had super bad luck. Like it was like my advance rate for the first part of it was good, and then you have like I think I had like 8 teams or whatever in the second round, or 10 or whatever it was. Here, we'll make our pick.
It's like I'm always concerned to talk before they make the pick now on
Yeah,
stream, but I have eyes on someone.
all right,
So it's for me, it's either Lad or Deontay.
me too.
Lad is the do we need that to open up that quarterback? If Deontay, I think I like a little bit better though. So let's go Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, we have the week 5 bye already in Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is just a minor tiebreaker for me. But since I
Oh.
kind of feel the same about both of them,
I know that you take the bye week seriously.
I do. Well, it's
but we're gonna draft
early.
like 7 receivers here.
I know. I'm just saying, as a minor tiebreaker, it's still just like having the maximum number available for each week seems like a slightly, feather of a difference for me.
Yes, the decimal of a decimal of a decimal,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But that's what we're working with here on
Exactly.
best ball, realistically.
Yep. Got to stack the rake back program with a strong credit card rewards program for Ultimate. That's smart. That is smart.
You can do
the
that.
Albatross.
You can do that. So I didn't realize that I switched my credit card to being my Underdog deposits, and I get all the rewards now. It's great.
Yeah, I have not done that, but that is a good idea. Yeah, the Albatross. So that is the PGA Majors one. I don't remember how many I did. I didn't like max out or anything, but had good advance rate for the first round. The second round just got absolutely crushed by like my pod luck. Like I was like, oh yeah, I only advanced one to the third round, which was like, it's kind of a bummer. And then I saw James Brum Eagles posted his, and it was like his advancing teams, and it was like I would have had, if I had his pod luck, I would have advanced like 5. Like it was just like, oh my god, I had so many teams that were like scored so many and would have advanced in like any other pod. So ended up only having one get to the semifinal, and then it got knocked out. So did not have luck with the Albatross.
Yeah, that was something which I did with a friend of mine, and we shared drafts and did that way. He definitely knows a good bit more golf, but I wish I could have brought some data to that. I don't know any golf data and especially the stuff that Underdog scores. Like I don't know where I would get that, but if you're watching, let me know. Get SportsViz BJ. Get me in my DMs.
I mean, you could talk to. So for PGA, I did. I drafted with my friend R Fresh, who is a long like OG DFS player, does sports betting, all that stuff. Has a sports betting Discord. He came on the channel. We drafted together on the channel, but he like made specific rankings for me based on like the odds at different sports books. Like he made rankings for me, and it was very useful. I think they were great rankings. It just the pod luck was awful to us. All right. So we're at 1141 right now.
Okay, so
I don't hate Samir White. Who do you like?
I was thinking we select one of these 2 Raiders that are on the screen. It's your choice of who. Let's go Zamir White.
Well, because we have Ferguson, Bowers, Njoku. I think it's pretty likely that one of them, and we already have McBride. I do like Bowers. Like I know it's buzzy right now. Everybody's loving Bowers, but I think I like him about the same as Ferguson. I guess I do like both of them better than Njoku. I hate how much better Njoku was last year with Flacco than Deshaun Watson is just makes it a little bit tough. Like part of me is just like, we'll just bet on the talent. That was probably fluky, but like it was significant, like the difference between playing with Watson versus playing with Flacco. So I don't know how to read Njoku
Yeah,
this year.
I'm not in on that Browns offense. Like I think that like as like there may be individual you could get like individual pieces from it. Like Amari Cooper had the huge game like last year, and so he's got it in the bag. But I don't know. Like I just Deshaun Watson, I don't feel like he's got it anymore. And
Yeah,
you really you need it at quarterback. There's like
yeah,
this thing that you can't quantify, and he doesn't have it anymore. So that's kind of my just like overarching take.
yeah. I think that's a good take. I think Amari Cooper was still pretty good even with Deshaun Watson last year. So like even though he
Hmm.
didn't have it, he at least could support one good receiver. Um, I still do. I take some Judy. Like I just think that Judy's a little bit undervalued where he's going for how much they paid him. But I share your concern. Like I think Deshaun did not look good last year.
Yeah. So
Um,
where are we going here? This is not a position I'm typically have two running backs.
yeah, I mean, I'd be fine with Lockett or Shaheed. I think both are solid picks here. We could go another running back if you wanted to.
Let's go Shaheed. And I personally want to note that, like, are you in Scott Fishbowl?
I am not in Scott Fishbowl. I have heard about it, like just through the
Hmm.
grapevine on Twitter. I started a stream the other night by asking what is Scott Fishbowl because I hear about it. I see people rumbling about
Hmm.
people very excited to get into it. It's apparently very exclusive, but I've never done it. I've never tried to get into it. Maybe next year. Are you in it this year?
Yeah, this is my second year doing it, and you should be able to get in. But the one thing I wanted to note is like he creates unique like scoring systems. So in Rashid Shaheed, I think in last year's scoring was a top 10 receiver.
Wow.
And I'm just like, wow, that's interesting. You little like wizard to have
Hmm.
created a scoring system where that works. But I think he's actually a good pick this year, just in this scoring system,
I do too.
because he's going to have a couple games where he goes 100 plus yards and on three catches, and it's two touchdowns or one touchdown, and that's what he does. So this is a game that's really built for like his type of profile. He didn't even. I don't think he got like the full workload last
He
year, and if
didn't.
he's getting an expanded version of that this year, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think that is we're all kind of counting on the more expanded. Like he's going to have something closer to a full workload this year, which would be just awesome. Because yeah, like you said, he had plenty of spike weeks last year. Now you just make it a little bit more likely. Like even if it is like he is better against, I don't remember zone or man, which one it is. He's better against one of those defense types. But like if he just gets more action against the one he's worse against, I think he's going to be probably going to have at least one more spike week, a little bit higher floor.
Hmm. Exactly. So we just need a little more volume with him, but we don't need a ton. Like his profile works without a ton of volume.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So where are we at with like some of the other drafters? Anyone do anything weird?
Good, yeah, good question. I don't see anything just looking through the like positional where people were drafting different positions. Looks pretty normal. A lot of wide receivers early.
Hmm.
Don't see any. Okay, Mahomes Burrow for National Grantham. It's a little bit different. Love and Caleb for Kid Calzone. But yeah, nobody's going, as far as I can tell, nothing all that odd.
Yeah. What's that? The 10 slot has four running backs, but five receivers, I guess. See how the people handle that. I don't know. I'm always curious if you got this one very different style drafter. I'm wondering if they're just intentionally doing something different, or if they just not consuming the content that we're all consuming.
Right. I mean, there are drafters who consume all the content and still are just like, no, you guys are wrong. Just like, I
Yeah.
don't want to draft the way you're drafting, which is fine. Um, could go Purdy here if we wanted to. Close out our quarterback room. Man, Dak is falling. Who do you like here?
I think I like Purdy, but um, these Dak falls make me like wish I'd set up other
Same.
Cowboys.
Same.
more often than I do. And it's not
Yep.
like you can just set up CD Lamb. You're gonna have to
Right.
be given a slot
Yeah.
to make that work. But yeah, like Ferguson feels so much more appealing at his ADP when you can make the assumption that you're gonna get Dak. Or
Yeah.
there's a better chance you a pretty good chance you get Dak way late.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, taking Ferguson at 94 has to feel pretty good for Jeremy. One pick
Hmm.
away. Yeah. 118 Dak when you're already stacked with Ferguson, his first quarterback. I mean, and he doesn't do it. He goes Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, and let it happen. I had so I did a couple drafts yesterday, and uh, I was hunting Jamar Chase, Burrow, and it was like I got Jamar Chase, made that happen. It was nice and clean from the 5 spot, and then I got greedy and pushed Burrow around the corner again, and completely got unstacked, uncorrelated, nothing. The guy took him from me. I'm just
Yeah.
like, you jerk.
Not that uncommon. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always the risk. You're just going to run into somebody who doesn't care. Here, Chris had CD Lamb get stacked at 119. Congrats to
Hmm.
Chris. That is a gift.
See, that's the one that's like, okay, you got to somewhat expect that. Um,
Yeah.
Whatever. I can tilt on my own.
Right.
Um, After we make this pick, do you want to do like a correlation and like review how we're going to finish this draft kind of
Yeah.
chat?
Let's do
Because
that.
I do feel like that's the one thing I struggle with on these is, yeah, but
Who do you
what do
like
you
here?
think?
I don't take a lot of Blake Corum, but I'd be fine taking him at 126. This feels about right for him. We've
I
got
like
the
Corum.
correlation with Trey McBride.
Yeah, it's a little bit of correlation. Um, I did my most recent football piece for Spike Week was just like where I took a bunch of fantasy scoring over the last couple years, tight end one versus like a wide receiver one on the opposing team, and visualize that correlation.
Yep.
And there's some that are like I know that we give boost to correlation, but some of it's like super weak. So
I kind
I've
of
been like,
assumed that was the case, but I should read the piece that you put out. That's got to be pretty interesting.
and it's the goal is to keep it somewhat simple and to be like, yeah, we should boost up like quarterback to pass catcher like correlation like
Yeah.
pretty significantly, but like some of the other ones like it feels like people will prioritize like the correlation over anything else rather
Yep.
than like getting the player that they think is going to do the best and then the correlation being like the final tiebreaker, and that's
Yep.
kind of what I was trying to get at with that.
Yep. I think that is sharp. So what is the correlation between an opposing tight end and a backup running back? Because
Pretty
that's what we
low.
just got.
The goal is that we're saying that Blake Corum is the running back one that week when it matters.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
But I've wondered about the correlation actually with like opposing running backs. Like to me that almost feels like a negative correlation. And like we treat it like a positive correlation of like if you have Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon, like, oh, they're playing against each other in week 17, so you want to stack them against each other. Intuitively, though, I'm like, do we really want a game that's going so slow like that one of these running backs is crushing? It feels like it's unlikely to have both of the opposing running backs crushing, but I don't know if that's the case. That's just kind of intuitively, that doesn't actually feel like a strong correlation. Is that something you looked into at all?
I didn't have like multiple people had asked me subsequent to writing it about that specific relationship. I
Yeah.
didn't put that in there just because I couldn't talk about everything there,
Yeah.
every single like option there was. But one thing I did note was like running back to quarterback correlation is like very much a styles type of thing where like
Depends on
certain
the
running backs will not be as connected to the quarterback scoring as like other running backs. And that's not shocking. The guys who get the stuff done through the passing game is going to be more connected to your quarterback. So yeah, that's one thing that was one of my takeaways is certain running backs I'm more keen on stacking than others.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
So we could go Pearsall here for the correlation with Purdy. We only have single stack right now, so if we want a double stack, I guess it's our last. Unless you have somebody that you
Mm.
love in this range.
No, I think that makes sense. Um, I think that makes sense. Yeah, and then if you think about the way that the receiver room is constructed, it's like very solid. And this is the guy that's going to be the bigger swing so far. Like every other guy that we have is like
Yeah,
good routes and like pretty good routes too. So let's
yeah,
take a swing on a guy who might be like if he gets into like if Ayuk something happens with him, we're playing that narrative a little bit here.
yep,
Um, Injury or trade or whatever, and if this happens, this team is like wow, it's a lot of
loaded.
fun,
Yep.
loaded. Like
Imagine this team goes into the playoffs without Ayuk. It's just Debo and Pearsall are the starting wide receivers. It'd be a thing of beauty.
hmm yeah, so this is like this. I like this narrative base that this would work in.
Yeah. Chris, yeah, congrats on getting Dak at 119. That is insane. I would have just taken him the previous round probably if I had been in your situation. So Chris gets Dak at 119 when he already had. So yeah, it would have been hard for me to pass on Dak at 98, just having CeeDee Lamb already. Getting him to fall to 119, getting Bowers there. That's just awesome. Super jealous of that.
What is this drafter in the one hole doing?
Yeah.
11, 12, 13.
Uh Unstacked with Tua.
Yeah, sorry if you're in the chat, um, but explain yourself.
Right, right. Apologies, but also, what the hell, man?
Yeah. Oh wow. Um, okay, so 2361. What are your thoughts on Luke Musgrave?
I like Luke Musgrave. I think there's a good chance that we see Tyler Kraft miss the start of the year. Luke
hmm
Musgrave kind of like finalizes his role. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that. So they were both rookies last year, both those tight ends,
Yeah,
and Luke Musgrave wasn't he like the guy who was supposed to be the more receiving profile?
yeah,
So this if it takes like I've always thought the reason that tight ends take a little bit while to like hit in the NFL is because like tight end you have to be such a physically dominant position and like you're bigger and stronger and faster. That's kind of the whole bit of tight end. And at the college level you are, but then when you get to grown man football, you aren't as big and strong as fast comparatively anymore. So you have to get onto your like 25, 26-year-old body. You can't just be a 20 like the 22-year-old that you get like some level. So I'm big on like Luke Musgrave might be like a kind of like a hit this year as like a second year, like he's the receiving style like tight end, like in a great offense. Um, he's been a target for me.
yeah. I was pretty scared like during the big board, the pre draft stuff, just because I do think like Tyler Kraft, I think also could be good. Like I think he's actually also like we don't know. Like he might end up being better. He was playing more for the Packers in the playoffs. So like that was actually making me really nervous until now we've got the Tyler Kraft injury. And going into last year, we all thought Musgrave was the more talented receiving tight end. So now I'm more like, all right, I'm willing to just like make the bet that he is going to be the guy, that they're going to give him that opportunity. And if he's good, he just holds on to the job. I still have some worry that Tyler Kraft, like they saw enough from Tyler Kraft that they like him and they'll work him back in. But where he's going in drafts, I just think, it's kind of baked in to where Luke Musgrave is going drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And I like having pieces of the Packers offense on most of my teams. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't have any of the receivers.
But you're a Vikings guy, right? Like
I
that would
am a
be like
Vikings fan.
that's who you'd root for.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And
Vikings are my team.
how do you make do you are you like an actual would you say you're a Vikings fan or do you have you like separated that from like your fantasy sports like self?
I would say that I'm a Vikings fan, but also like I still care more about like I'm more of a Timberwolves fan than a Vikings fan. I will always cheer for the Vikings, except if it's going to cost me a lot of money. So like there might be a scenario like I'm not the best Vikings fan in the world where like there are people who are just like that's all I care about. They don't want to make bets because it's going to affect the way they cheer for the game. Like no, I'm a fantasy sports player first, I would say, but I watch every or almost every Vikings game throughout the year. It's rare that I
hmm
miss one. And yeah, I'm cheering for them to win. So yeah, I would say I'm a Vikings fan, but yeah, not the best Vikings fan in the world.
hmm So your number one team is the Timberwolves, you'd say?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch. at the
Me
Olympics.
too.
He's so
Me
much
too.
fun. He's so much fun.
Yeah. He's a walking quote. He's just a walking dunk.
Hmm.
He's just everything about him. He's the most fun player in the NBA, in my opinion. And I'm not biased at all. Not biased at all.
Not biased at all, right? Was he that wanted to play football, or was he like a very good football player, or do I have that incorrectly?
I think he played football in like high school. I know that so part of the knock on him coming into let's make our pick. Is there
Hmm.
anybody that you love here?
Um, well, let's mix in a little bit of my fandom. I grew up in Atlanta, and I'm a Falcons fan. Let's go Tyler Algier. I think there's a lot
Makes
of
sense.
value to just like like being a solid RB2. Like this
Yeah.
is the range of the draft where like it's some maybe RB2s and some solid RB2s, and he's a very solid
Yeah.
RB2.
Like we know that he is the contingent value guy in Atlanta.
Hmm.
I don't like
Absolutely.
I don't think he has a ton of standalone value, but he had some big games with Bijan healthy last year. So maybe he has more standalone value than I think too. But I think he's just awesome contingent value.
Yeah, he may fall into the end zone a couple times, like and annoy Bijan drafters. But if anything happens to Bijan, he's going to be an absolute smash.
Yeah. Yep. I think he's a guy I take pretty often in this part of the draft. Okay, so the knock on Ant coming into the NBA draft was he had said he doesn't really like watching basketball. He likes
Mm.
watching football. He's a big football fan. And a lot of people are like, "What? We're going to draft this guy?" And he's not even like not that into basketball. He's not, and of course he's like the most competitive guy in the NBA. Like, he's so competitive. He loves playing basketball. He doesn't watch it as a fan.
Hmm. And I guess that's fair. He's just the ultimate competitor.
Yeah,
I think he said that he'll win in anything, any sport,
day
doesn't
one from
matter
day one.
what.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a quote with Marty Gellner. Ping pong, hockey, and he's anything. Just like he was adamant, like I'm gonna crush it. Anything. Yeah,
I am an athlete, just one of the best athletes. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah. Right.
Oh, that's great. So, what's our structure again? We are at.
So we're at 2-4-6-2 currently, and I'll read off the team. We have Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy at quarterback, at running back, Joe Mixon, Zamir White, Blake Corum, Tyler Algier at wide receiver, Monroe St. Brown, Debo Samuel, Zay Flowers, Deontay Johnson, Rashid Jaheir, Ricky Pearsall at tight end, Trey McBride, and Luke Musgrave. I like this team, and I feel like we have good optionality going forward. Like we're obviously we need at least one to probably two more running backs. Um, but we're not like desperate. We don't need to be. We can kind of take the value as they come to us.
Probably done at quarterback, right? I'd say,
Probably done at quarterback. We could also be done at tight end.
yeah.
And Troy
Um,
Franklin and Marvin Mims both go. I just those are the guys that I'm usually targeting here. Here's ADP. Who do you
so,
like?
a running back or a wide receiver. Um, let's see.
I like Eli Mitchell.
Let's do that.
Also part of our stack. I was having this conversation with my friend, fantasy guru Drew. Talked about on stream a few times. So apologies to those of you who watch regularly and have heard this before. But he made the point, and it kind of clicked with me. He was like, I mean, where do you think Eli Mitchell would go? Like if before the season started, CMC gets hurt and Eli Mitchell is the starting running back, which we would expect if CMC gets hurt, where does the starting running back on the Niners go? And it's like top 3 rounds probably. Like I think Eli Mitchell is still like he's a talented running back who would then be a talented running back in one of the best offenses in the league in that scenario. So I do think the contingent value for Eli Mitchell is like as strong as just about anybody. I think he should like he and Tyler Algier to me are very similar. Like they both have just like omega contingent value, but you can get Eli Mitchell later.
It's interesting. This is now the first time I've said this aloud, but it's really interesting to put like Tyler Algier and Eli Mitchell on the same team. And if we can do it, get like Braylon Allen too, and just like just a wording because we didn't draft a running back in the first round. We're essentially
Right.
saying like one of those guys, if they don't if they're the failure, then we've got the opposite side to that. So um, that's really an interesting way to play that contingency on like the first round. Um, yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. I struggle with that type of leverage. Like people talk about all the time. They're like, well, I love taking Algier when I have Brees Hall because he goes next to. I struggle with how much to value. Like I guess it's not something that I can really visualize that direct leverage, because in my mind it's like, well, they're already screwed if their first round pick goes down. Like, do I need the leverage on the Bijan drafter when I draft Brees? Because they're already like, their first round pick is dead. How much leverage do I need on that player? So that is something that that's one of those things that we talk about all the time that I don't fully, maybe I just don't totally understand it.
Well, is it the leverage on is it the leverage on that drafter, or is it the leverage on everyone else in the entire like
Okay,
pod that you now have
so that one's dead.
a
Now
running?
we're an
Yep,
11-person pod instead of 12.
and you're carrying the piece that killed like the other one, and now have like a one that just shot way up, right?
Right.
So like maybe that's what a better way to think of it.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, I like to pick anyway. I see it like
Hmm.
as a, just like putting leverage aside. I totally understand that. Just like, it's going to be a great pick because we have an awesome contingent value pick.
Yeah,
You want
for
to go
sure.
Braylon Allen here
Um, I
or
don't
Khalil
want to
Herbert?
overdo it. I would rather like. Are you comfortable at receiver, or should we tack on more?
Probably one more.
That that's kind of where my head is at. Do we need to do one more now, or are you comfortable waiting?
I'm comfortable waiting.
Let's do Braylon Allen then.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think that we have good receiver, but I also think like Javon Baker, like in terms of my ranking, and I think these are, I don't remember if these are leg up or ETR, but either way, Javon Banker is the top ranked right here, and he'll often go into the 18th round. Like, you usually get him late. Like Jalen McMillan, I really like. Greg Dortch, I really like. There's just receivers that I like in the final round, so I don't really feel
Hmm.
like we need to be taking one here.
Yeah, so it's a Patriot that is at the top of your ranks. I'm pretty sure it's probably Pat's ranks, right?
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah,
Yeah, Drake May is it up there too?
right.
Um,
Yeah, where is Drake May ranked? Yeah, Drake
yeah,
May at 183. These are Pat's ranks. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, that's funny. Um, okay, 2662. Could maybe go tight end if you, but probably don't need to. Um, yeah. What are
yeah.
your thoughts on on that?
I don't think we need another one. I mean, we bought into Trey McBride, got the elite tight end. Like you said, we could. Like, I think that we're in a good enough spot where we're definitely good enough at quarterback. We're probably good enough at running back at this point.
Definitely
Um,
good at running back. Like
yeah,
if you think about it, we have six, and like Mixon is a way earlier, and then like historically, this would be like a we're definitely done at running back. So
yeah. So like, what is more likely to actually hit our lineup? I assume Isaiah Likely is gone. Yeah, he's not here. He's got to be gone.
mhm.
All right, wide receiver, I think, is a pretty good bet. Is there any wide receiver that you like here?
Let's do either Javon Baker or Devontae Walker.
Oh, good
Devontae
point.
Walker,
We have Lamar.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
like
let's just,
that's a nice stack right there.
yeah, yeah.
And then
We only have
yeah,
Zay so far, so get the double stack feels good.
yeah, yeah, and then it'll either be then yeah, then I think I'd probably close this out with another receiver.
Yeah, I think I probably do too.
Oh, this is a fun team.
Yeah, I like this team quite a bit. We'll have to take a look at Chris's team where he got Dak at 119, because that's just unfair. I appreciate you saying that you're really liking my team, Chris, but getting Dak at 119, I mean, my God. The leverage to me is if you're in week 17 and you play a Bijan guy, but Algier scores more than him that week, and he was way cheaper. I mean, but you're playing against the entire 500 teams or whatever at that point. Um, and probably most of the Bijan guys are dead. I guess it's possible that Bijan, is healthy until in the fantasy playoffs, and I don't know.
Yeah, I need to do more on like uniqueness and how much how like I not necessarily quantifying, but just like discussing how unimportant it is, or is it important? Like, was last year's tournament, was it like consolidated around a couple people, but like after, like never more than like two or three of the same person on the same team, right? I feel like
Right.
that, like, how often do you have like of your 18 or person thing, nine of them as the same other person? I'd be kind of blown away if that have ever happened. I'm sure it has, but um,
Yeah, I don't think like dupes is a huge concern. We were talking about this on some stream I was on recently. I don't really think like dupes is what I'm worried about in Best Ball Mania. Uniqueness, I
yeah,
think, is still helpful, but yeah, definitely something that's kind of interesting, maybe worth looking into.
yeah, and that's what I was getting at. Is like, I don't think you could ever dupe someone in the finals. I don't even think you can get close. Um, but you may have overlapping pieces that other people have as well that are the essential
Yeah,
ones. Hmm. Okay, one pick away. Let's
all
do
right.
Javon Baker and call it a day. Um,
Just the falling value, too strong.
Good value, in a wide receiver room that is incredibly solid. Wouldn't taking a guy that is a big swing. Like, we have five really, really, really solid guys, and then three swings, and that's awesome.
Yep, yep, yeah. It's a strong wide receiver room. You don't need all three of those swings hit. If one of those three hits, we're gonna have an awesome wide receiver room.
Yeah. Wow, this is a good one.
Yeah, we'll take a look. If anybody wants us to take a look at their teams, I'm happy to do so. I don't know if you're going to stick around for that portion, Billy. I know you said that you don't have time to do a second draft with me. Um, so let me know. Let me know when you need to go.
Yeah, well, I can stay through the review, but it's just like, again, wedding planning life, right?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, it's something every night.
Got a full-time job. Yeah,
Yeah, full-time job, then side time job was Spike Week, and
yeah,
then
and then
getting
wedding planning.
married, and then you
Yeah,
buy a house. It's like you do all of it all at the same time, apparently.
yeah, right. Yeah, we did. We got the house the next year following we got married, but for us, it wasn't actually planned. It was just COVID happened, and then it was like our
Hmm.
apartment is too small for both of us to be home all the time, so we got a house.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at it. Let us know if you want us to take a look at your team. We'll start by taking a look at our team, though. So we go Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy at quarterback. At running back, we have Joe Mixon, Zamir White, Blake Corum, Tyler Algier, Eli Mitchell, Braylon Allen. At wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Debo Samuel, Zay Flowers, Deontay Johnson, Rashid Shaheed, Ricky Pearsall, Devontae Walker, Javon Baker, and at tight end, Trey McBride and Luke Musgrave. So we've got Lamar with Zay Flowers and Devontae Walker. We've got the bring back of Joe Mixon. Then we have Brock Purdy with Eli Mitchell and Debo Samuel and Ricky Pearsall. We've got the bring back of Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think obviously very strong at quarterback. I think our running backs are pretty damn strong. We only have two running backs who are going to start the year as starters or who we're expecting to start the year as starters, but I think we have four of the stronger contingent running backs available. Yeah, like you said, we've got five really solid starting wide receivers, and then we've got three upside rookie bets. Obviously, Trey McBride, great tight end. Luke Musgrave, could be great tight end. So I feel really good about this team. You, how do you like this one, Billy?
Yeah, the logically it makes a ton of sense. We've stacked up and kind of crossed off some of those kind of like requirements and bring back some correlation. Didn't overdo it, and things kind of fell into our lap in like the appropriate slots. So um, overall, good draft. And outside of like drafting a running back infinitely earlier than I have my eyes set for right now, this has got a lot of flavors of things that I like.
I'm glad I forced you to get one share of Joe Mixon in your portfolio.
Yeah, for sure. And when this thing wins, I'm just going to be so disappointed with myself for not
I'm not
exploring
taking
different
more running back.
avenues.
Right. Yeah. I do mostly zero RB, hero RB, but I think less stringent about it than you are. I'm a little bit more like, all right, well, if a guy's falling, if he's part of a bring back in a stack or something, then I think I'm more willing than you are to break from the zero or hero RB thing in general.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to. It'll come. I think that I'll get into the running backs just later.
Okay, you're just waiting until we know the running backs, like who are the backup running backs
I
and
don't.
who.
I don't want to fall on last year's JT. Like that's like the my worst nightmare is for me to have picked a guy and then he misses 6 weeks out of the year, and the guy that is supposed to be the cornerstone of how I built my running back room, I'm taking less of them, is just non-existent. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my worst nightmare.
Yeah, so I suppose it's less about wanting to know the backup running backs, because that would be, I mean, you'd want to, if you know the backup running backs later, then you'd want to be doing more zero RB later. But knowing that the starters are actually going to be starting yeah,
Hmm.
that is a fair point. All right, Jeremy says, I was feeling good about mine for a bit, sniped on some pieces, but how you think it turned out? Let's take a look at it. Jeremy has Trevor Lawrence and Geno Smith at quarterback. At running back, Devin Achane, Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara, Kendra Miller, Bucky Irving, J.K. Dobbins. At wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Christian Kirk, Ryan Thomas, Curtis Samuel, Jermaine Burton, Adam Thielen, Odell Beckham. And at tight end, Jake Ferguson and Dallas Goedert. So as far as correlations, he's got Trevor Lawrence with Travis Etienne and Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas. Jacksonville playing Tennessee. Does he have any bringbacks? Not for week 17. And then he
This
has
is an insane amount of Miami.
to not have Tua. Yeah.
And like someone
Oh,
did it, I think unstacked, but like this is just, I don't even know if I'm doing it to this level stacked.
that is
Like,
quite a bit of, yeah. He's got Achan and Hill and Waddle and
mhm.
OBJ. It's a bit more than I would like to spend on Miami, particularly without Tua. And he's got Geno with. Is Geno unstacked? I think Geno's unstacked, which I maybe with a running back. No, unstacked Geno. I'm not loving it, Jeremy. To be honest with you,
It's like
I
one of
think
those drafts that could have been fun if it had come his way, and he
yeah,
was kind of setting it up. But then the whatever jerks decided to take these players from us,
right,
did it, and then he's sitting there holding a bag of Miami without the piece that kind of drives this very unique bet. So it's
yeah.
kind of unfortunate.
And then he's got Kamara with Kendra Miller, which is not my favorite handcuffing those two. I think that's a little bit too much draft capital. Like where Kendra Miller hits would be if Kamara is not the starter. I guess there's some potential of Kamara getting traded. I think I don't know. I don't love that handcuff. I think he's probably going to be there. Um, I I think that your biggest mistake was you had Jake Ferguson and passed on Dak at 118. I don't know if that's just a player take for you. You just like don't like Dallas's offense, don't like Dak, but that to me was a missed opportunity there. Yeah, it's I'm not taking Geno Smith to me. I like you got value there, but I don't love taking unstacked Geno Smith. He's just not like the archetype of quarterback who I think could work unstacked. So yeah, it's not my favorite. You've done better work in my opinion. I've
That's
seen some
a
of Jeremy's teams. He's done better work.
oh,
Um,
that's hilarious.
all right. I'm going to take a quick brief. Even though Chris didn't ask, I just want to look because he got Dak at 119. So it's got to be kind of a strong team. He's got Jaden Daniels with Terry McLaurin. He's got the bring back of Rondell Moore. And then he's got Dak with CeeDee Lamb and Rico Dowdle and Jalen Tolbert. No Philly bring back on that one, but just gets the mega value on Dak. Yeah, I mean that's a fun quarterback room. Running backs are perfectly cromulent. I was tweeting out earlier. I'm really liking the Denver. I've been drafting a ton of the Denver backfield, and it's just Scott Barrett put out a tweet, just like looking through Sean Payton historically, like his running backs just absolutely crush in fantasy. Like in terms of like they're like
Mhm.
always like top five in like fantasy production for the year. So Javante presumably the starter. I did a show with Davis Maddock yesterday where he'd been talking with a beat reporter in Denver, like actually provided some alpha in the show where it's like, yeah, so the beat reporter is like 95% Samaje Perine getting cut. It's going to be Javonte the starter, estimated the backup, and Jaleel McLaughlin's going to be in his role getting 8 to 10 touches, which to me is like, if we knew that's going to happen, I think they're all fantastic values where they're going. So liking Javonte there. Yeah, good team there.
That's like, it feels almost like, how last year it was like Miami running backs. There was just pick one and kind of sprinkle it around.
Yeah.
Feels similar-ish in that someone's going to be a really good value there. I don't know who it is, but someone's going to capitalize on that offense that just feeds running back touches.
Yeah, it feels, yeah, and I went over this before, but just looking through 3 different offensive line rankings, I just like made a spreadsheet of different rankings of offensive linemen. Broncos 17, 16, and 8. So like they're expected to be like a good to very good offensive line, which is something I like to see with the running backs. Yeah, for sure that's I think that's right. Probably somebody's going to hit from the Broncos, and they're cheap enough. Like similar to Miami last year in that sense. They're different in that Miami was just such a great offense. Who knows if the Broncos have that in their bag of tricks? Like if they can be as good as, probably not. They probably can't be as good as Miami was last year. But Sean Payton, pretty good offensive coach. So maybe they'll be better than expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that you called this running back room cromulent. That word is just hilarious to me. The fact that it's now like a very accepted like way to discuss a pick. It's been best ball only though, or on The Simpsons, because that's where it came from.
Yeah, I don't know who started the like using cromulent as the term, but it is, I like it. I picked up
I'm
on it.
pretty sure it's Davis Maddock
Oh, was it?
that's
Was it
where I
Davis?
first heard it, was him
Okay.
talking about like Tutu Atwell. But I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, but I think it's a good descriptor for a team like this,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, yeah, it's not like nothing special, but like it could work. It's like good enough, I think.
Acceptable or adequate, it gets the job done.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Billy. Anything else that you want to talk about before you go, or just tell people where they can find you?
This was a ton of fun, as always. Thanks for having me on. My written content is over at spikeweek.com. I also can find me on Twitter at sportsvizbj. I just released an article for the hockey version of best ball that Underdog has, and that's a ton of fun if you're looking to switch things up. But if not, and you have ideas, please follow me or hit me up on my DMs on Twitter.
Hell yeah, at SportsVizBJ, as you can see under his face, and then in the description of this video, you can find that as well. I'm going to do another draft here. Billy's going to head out. I'm going to do one more solo draft if you guys want to draft with me. But Billy, it was really appreciate you coming on the show again. Really, hopefully we can do another one before the wedding. I know August is going to be pretty busy with you, so I'm not going to hold you to anything. But hopefully we can do one more either this summer or sometime in the future. We'll do another draft together. This is a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on.
I'll definitely be back.
Hell yeah. All right. Thanks, Billy. Peace out. All right, guys. Just me now. I am going to hop into another BBM draft. I'm going to hop in right now on my phone. So if you want to get in. Give me 1 second. But you're on like a 10-second delay from me. Yeah, I'm finding it right now. I'm at BBM, entering the draft. 8 more to go. Hop in now if you want to draft with me. Cromulent. That's a good way to describe best ball whenever. This is a cromulent show. All right, let's see. Drafts. Active. I guess this is now a time that I could label that one. I'll show you how I label my teams. All right, so that's completed. I am in the draft, so if you guys get into it, so you click on the name, how I like to label my teams. I usually do this on my phone. Let's see if I can figure out how to label it here. Maybe I don't know how to do it on, maybe it's not possible here. Drafts, active. Wait, no, completed. I assume it's possible to do here because I think I saw Davis do it yesterday. Here's where I do it. draft name. So I like to label this one Billy, because I'm going to have to split the 1.5 million with Billy, who I drafted with, and then the quarterbacks, Lamar and Purdy. I think that's enough to give you an idea of what the team looks like what are the stacks on this team. Just knowing the quarterbacks. Did that one fill up? All right, let's see. We're at 8 out of 12 in the BPM. 9 out of 12. Hop on in. Maybe I'll pull up some fantasy points data. While we wait. So there are some ways. I was looking at missed tackles forced per touch, looking at some of these stats earlier. And kind of surprised to see, Debo at the top of missed tackles forced per touch, not a huge surprise. I did put a minimum of 50 touches on here. Keaton Mitchell, number 2, looks pretty good. Antonio Gibson up there. Some of these are, very, very small sample size. Khalil Herbert, my guy, 16th place, looks good. Or 16th last year overall. What was I going to look at? I was going to look at, since we talked about it earlier, see if I can figure out quickly. We're waiting for one more person. What are the splits? What is the scheme? I don't know if I'm in the right spot to see where Rashid Shaheed is better. Because I always forget if he's better against zone or against man. It's something that I rely on the football guys to remind me before DFS slates. Now that I'm doing content for season-long stuff, I'm like, I should probably get better at figuring out how to find this stuff. So let's see if I can find it. Oh, here's what I got to do. Got to go to play. No, split. We are full. We are full right now. Covered scheme. Oh, wait. This split requires one or more selected rows to be active. There we go. I'm figuring stuff out. Let's see what position we got. We're in the 10 hole. D-Mo Zone in here with us. Jeremy back in this one. Frank Gore. Do you think that's the real Frank Gore? Charles in this one. Right? Bez or Ben? Ben? It's Ben, right? Ben is Bez. Anybody else in here with us? Let me know. Oh, can you see my screen? Yeah, Benjamin. I don't know why I thought Charles at first. Oh, the N is turned sideways. All right, that'll be. I'll have to remember that. That's where the Bez comes from. Ten hole, not my favorite, unless I'm drafting against Billy and I can get the double of Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Probably can't even get it. You probably need to be in the 11 hole with Billy in the 12 hole. That's the only way you're going to get that double. You got to go with Garrett Wilson first. He'll let you have Breece on the turn. That's the dream. As I've said, I've gotten that exactly one time. I've gotten the Garrett Wilson Breece Hall. It was on DraftKings, and I got sniped on Aaron Rodgers. So, it's still fun to get that combo, but would have been more fun with the quarterback. All right, Shaheed. Cover. Oh man, this is so 363 in cover 3. All right, get that out of the way. You can't even see what I'm talking about. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I am not good at. Oh, it's the first read target 46% of the time. In what scheme? Cover 0. I don't know the best way to read that data without spending more time on it, so I'm not going to bother on it. Just trying to see if I can find the data on Rashid Shaheed. All right. We don't get anything fun to fall to us. I have 10% Puka Nakua, 7% Garrett Wilson. I think this is a good opportunity to take a share of Garrett Wilson. Definitely not getting Briscoe's in the 6 hole here. Frank Gore drafting his son for sure. No doubt. No doubt. I'll let him draft Frank Gore Jr. Personally, I'm okay with that. Wouldn't let you pick. What's going on, Jeremy? I wouldn't let you pick. Garrett Wilson does have that week 12 bye, which I can't see right now. Kind of makes me like London and Olave a little bit less. Should I go Waddle? Devontae. Let's go Waddle. A little bit different. It does feel like I've had these conversations with multiple people recently, like during streams. What are we going to do to get different? And it's always reach for Waddle. So maybe it's not going to end up being that different if that's always everybody's backup plan. But I'd rather diversify bye weeks. Since it's all one big tier, it's a good tiebreaker, I think. I put out on my Twitter yesterday all of my top exposures halfway through Best Ball Mania, and that was just for Best Ball Mania drafts. What you're seeing on the screen here with the draft caddy, I pulled up every draft, so it's not just Best Ball Mania. It's my exposure for all the drafts I've done in this contest style. So post draft regular Best Ball. These are my exposures. You can see them here. Only 4% Mike Evans surprised me a little bit. I knew I was fading Saquon. 3.6% does not surprise me. 5.9% DJ Moore, not a huge surprise. You see the running backs in general, I'm just going to be lighter on. Actually, I'm at 9% HM. One exception. A lot of people were telling me that I need to get more Derrick Henry. He was not on my top exposures page just because I'm usually drafting 0 RB, sometimes hero RB, and he's like, I much prefer Kyron over Henry, and the ADP is one pick apart, so it just kind of falls into. But I don't know that I should. I don't know that I should prefer Kyron that much over Henry. He could absolutely smash this year. 20 touchdowns, well within his range of outcomes. So he's somebody I need to think about diversifying my exposure. I have some other thoughts of players that I might want to target for the sake of diversifying my exposure. Now that I'm aware of where I'm at halfway through, now that I'm kind of checking in on my exposures. Nothing too different so far as I can tell. Pretty standard draft. Amon-Ra falling to 8. That's got to feel pretty good for Frank Gore. The Amon-Ra Drake London is probably a fairly unique pairing. Henry at 29, so he is not going to be the guy to get more exposure to. Ooh, that was the guy I wanted. I think he goes right around. No, usually he would fall to me. I usually like this. This is where I'm targeting Josh Allen. The reason I don't have much Josh Allen is because I usually try to target him. Just I happen to when I've taken Garrett Wilson, he goes earlier than expected. So that's kind of a bummer, but also not a huge deal. You can see why I have 3% Michael Pittman because I was just sorted by rankings in my rankings 44th. I think every ranking system just has him pretty low. I don't know that I want to go there though. I'm kind of okay with that fade. Yeah, I'm just gonna go Diggs. I am Diggs pilled. It's Ben Gretch's fault. I think he made a strong point about this being a contract year for Diggs and Diggs just being extra motivated this year, which you don't always buy into it for every player, but Diggs to me is the type of player where I buy into like he's just going to be better on a new team in a contract year. Like I think he was in sort of a toxic relationship last year with the Bills. You saw him fade down the stretch. I just don't think his brain was in it last year. And I think he's a super competitive guy. So I think new team contract year like Diggs is going to ball out this year. I think it was a sharp point by Ben. My next picks are 58 and 63. Could go Zay Flowers for the game correlation. That is a game that could just absolutely go off. I usually prefer doing it through Andrews just because for regular best ball, like where I'm concerned about bye weeks is within the position. And so Andrews, different position than Diggs. So I don't care that they have that Diggs and Andrews have the same bye. Whereas now I'm like, all right, I've got 4 receivers and 2 of them have a week 14 bye. That's fine. I mean, just having 2 is totally fine. But now it is something that I need to be paying attention to going forward. Whereas with Andrews, it's a different position, not a concern at all. I told this story yesterday. I woke up yesterday and let my dog out. So that's kind of my morning routine. I wake up in the middle of the night, which is I go to bed super late. So midway through my night is actually morning. I let my dog out to pee in the morning. So yesterday I did that, opened the door, and I don't know if I didn't look out or I looked out and just didn't see it, but let my dog out. He goes down to the bottom of our stairs onto our brand new, we just built it last week, new patio outside. And my dog goes down and I'm like not even looking at him. Then I hear him growling and I was like, what is going on? I look out and not 2 feet away from him is a giant raccoon, like bigger than my dog. My dog is a small, he's probably 13, 14 pounds. He's a small dog, but there was a raccoon definitely bigger than my dog at the foot of my stairs, 2 feet from my dog. And I'm like, holy shit. Like I don't know much about raccoons, but I believe that they can be pretty aggressive sometimes. So I was like, what the, and I started yelling at it, get away, whatever. And it didn't budge, didn't move an inch. It's just like my dog is just sitting there growling at it. This raccoon is not moving. So I go and there's luckily right next to me by the back door is a closet with a broom in it. I grab the broom, go out, and I'm yelling, get, probably, turn into that guy. I don't think I've ever done that. I don't think I've ever yelled get at anything in my life, but I'm yelling, get at this raccoon. And and it just does not move. It's just like sitting there, like kind of confused, kind of like looks up at me and like does a like dog head tilt thing where it's like, why are you yelling at me? Come on, man. I'm just trying to live my life. And it's just like not moving at all. And I'm like, but I'm still nervous about it. I'm like, it could attack any moment. I don't know what it's thinking. My dog's barking at it. So I'm yelling, get at it. Doesn't get. So then I start shoving it, like pushing it with the broom. And it still like doesn't really like it just looks confused. Like it's just like looking at me, just like not really reacting. And then finally, like after a little while, after I really start shoving it with the broom, it turns around and like kind of slowly wanders outside the back of my fence, under the fence, gets out, and I'm like, okay, good, got rid of this raccoon. And then it turns around and is like trying to get back into my fence. And I'm like, "What the hell are you like, why are you trying to get back in here? You know I'm in here with the broom, like, why are you not afraid of me? Come on, I'm yelling at you, I'm slamming this broom on the ground, trying to get you scared of me." This raccoon was just not scared of me. I don't know what the deal was, but it's trying to get back in my so I go back to the fence and just, like, continue doing the, like, slamming the broom on the ground, just, like, trying to scare it away, and it doesn't come back in. I let my dog back inside. But this is at 7 a.m. So I had gone to bed at 3 a.m. the night before, wake up at 7. I was just my adrenaline was so high. I did not fall back asleep after that. Um, but I was thinking about it later on, and this is you can tell that I'm not made to be a hunter. Like I'm much too soft to ever be a hunter. Here, I'm gonna make my pick. All right, another player that I think I need to get more of. No, I'm not gonna. Do I do it here? Do I do it here? Screw it. My hesitation here is that I kind of want to try to push Stroud to 82, but I'm not going to. Uh, I'm too soft to be a hunter because I felt so guilty about it later. I felt so guilty about this raccoon was just like, come on, man, just like looking at me like he just wanted to not be bothered, and it almost felt like it was pleading with me. The way it was looking at me was like this raccoon was pleading for something from me, not being aggressive at all. And I was just so mad, like telling it to go away. I felt guilty about it. Not that guilty because of the rabies, as somebody in chat pointed out. Raccoons can have rabies. That's usually when they get aggressive, is if they do have rabies, or if you attack them first, which of course I did in this scenario. Um, but I felt so guilty about it just because it was like just really did not get aggressive at all. It was just like did not want to go, and it felt like it was pleading with me. But anyway, today I got a text from my neighbor saying we do not have to worry about the raccoon anymore. Something got it a few blocks away, and hang on. I go mix in here. I just did it last draft. I'm gonna go Godwin. No, I'm gonna go Mixon because now I gotta save at least one for a Colts receiver. Um, yeah. Uh, something got this raccoon. So now I'm like I'm sure that this raccoon was just like, and I also was kind of thinking because of how slowly it ran out the back door. There's a part of me that's like, I feel like it might have been like pregnant. Like the fact that it was so big and moving so slowly going out the door. Part of me was like maybe it was pregnant or something like that. Um, and something got it. Apparently, some animal attacked it a few blocks away, killed this raccoon a few blocks away. So then today, my guilt has been consuming me. This pregnant raccoon, and in my mind, this pregnant raccoon came to me for shelter, came into my backyard to get away from some monster, some evil in my neighborhood, and I just wasn't having it, and now it got killed a few blocks away. But yeah, you're right. You're right. I should not feel any kind of guilt because it was going to probably get aggressive at some point. What's up, Tyler? Gordinko, this is my real life friend, asking me to show feet. I don't have socks on, so I could, but if I were more flexible, I would show you my feet. But I'm not going to. Not going to show you my feet. They're actually not that ugly. I generally have pretty ugly feet because I am a runner. They get like black on the toenails. They get pretty gross. Right now, I don't know what I've done. I guess more proactive about cutting my toenails. I think that's when they get black, because if you don't cut them frequently enough and you run, then they get black. But if you cut them more frequently, they don't get as black. So that is a trick that I've learned. Yeah. And Past Dreamer Benny says, and Alex says, you killed a raccoon. You know what? That's okay. It's okay. It's a raccoon. They get rabies. Their poop. I did a ton of research. As after my adrenaline was up, I was not able to fall back asleep. I just laid in bed doing research on raccoons. I learned that their poop can be very dangerous to humans and to dogs. And that was my biggest concern. Is like I have a dog that I let out in the backyard, and it will eat shit. Like it'll eat the raccoon shit for sure. So I was nervous about my dog eating that raccoon shit. Didn't find any raccoon. I did a whole like looking through the whole yard. Part of me was like, the raccoon was coming back, trying to get back into the yard. Maybe it was because it had like a nest or something in my backyard. But I did a look through the whole yard, could not find any kind of baby raccoons. I couldn't find any kind of shit or anything like that. So I think I'm safe at this point. What's up, Charles? Good to see you here. Been a long time since yesterday on Davis's channel. I do not have any Arizona Cardinals on this team. Charles, I'm sure if you saw my exposures yesterday, you would have liked them. I have a ton of Kyler Murray, got a lot of Trey McBride. I have a lot of Marvin Harrison. So I'm pretty in on the Cardinals this year. All right, what do I want to do here? I could go Jalen Warren, Brock Bowers. Is it too? It's too early for either of those, or for Brock Bowers or Ferguson, I should say. So we'll go Jalen Warren. Toxoplasmosis. They usually make a latrine where you'll find their droppings. All right, I'll have to look again. Make sure it did not. Yeah, we have this issue. That was also one of the first thoughts that my wife and I had. So we had a few months back, like dead of winter, like the coldest part of winter. I'll make my pick here. Do I go JMO? I have very little JMO. As you can see here, I guess 3%. That's actually more than I would have guessed, if I'm being honest with you. Oh, no, I was going to go Bowers. I'll skip Bowers here. He's not going back. Dead of winter, we wake up and our heat is out. And I live in Minnesota, if any of you don't know. It is very cold in Minnesota in the winters. We wake up and we have no heat in the house. And turns out what had happened is we think it was squirrels in our chimney, had gotten into our chimney, had made a nest in our chimney, and they then set off a sensor that shuts down the heat because otherwise fumes can get back into your house, and they're deadly. So our heater was turned off because it sensed that there was a blockage in our chimney, and that was one of the first thoughts, and it ended up costing us like $15,000 to get it repaired. We had to get a whole new boiler that goes out the side of the house. It was a whole thing. So yeah, that is responding to this comment from Demo Zone. One of our first thoughts was it not squirrels, and it was actually raccoons. And I don't think that was the case that it was raccoons, but still a little bit nervous that there's more raccoons around that this is the first time I'd seen a raccoon in my neighborhood. But they are urban creatures, so not that uncommon. All right, I'll take a look at the team. I have Anthony Richardson, Joe Mixon, Jalen Warren, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Stephon Diggs, Zay Flowers, and Brock Bowers on the team so far. So it's a 1-2-4-1. I don't have major plans for the team at the moment. I think Mixon, Diggs, Flowers, probably the extent of that Week 14 game. I suppose the Brock Bowers, I could do a late Giant stack if I wanted to, with Bowers as the bring back. Might just end up making a Jets stack. Are there any Bills receivers still available? Samuel just went. Shakir went. Oh man, Shakir went super early. So probably not doing a Bills backstack, or a Jets backstack with the Bills bring back. I could still do a Jet stack and say screw Week 17. But I have Anthony Richardson. That was one of the comments that I got on after I posted my explorers yesterday, and I agree with it that I need more Anthony Richardson. I think I've only got like 4%, something like that at the moment, and I think he's a really good pick. Like he was just when he played last year, Anthony Richardson was awesome. We can't assume that he's going to get hurt constantly just because he did last year. Like that's just it's not that sticky in general. At least we have 1 year of him getting hurt. That doesn't mean he's going to get hurt going forward. And he was awesome as a fantasy pick last year. I also think the Colts secondary is expected to be really, really bad this year, which is a great thing for a quarterback if the secondary is bad. I am on the clock. I was looking on a different screen. I thought I had a bunch of time left, and I did not. So what pick are we at? We're at 106. Got 14 and 9 as the buys. Benson, here's my Cardinals exposure. We'll do it. So the tough thing about this build is it was not the best thought out, best planned team, I don't think. I've got 2 receivers with the week 14 buys already. So I could go 80 Mitchell here. I got to take one of Mitchell or Downs because I have Anthony Richardson. Like I'm not just going to take no stack with Anthony Richardson. But I don't love the way I set this up where I took 2 week 14 receivers. I need to take at least one more. The bye week bro in me is in pain right now. I also, let's see. If I pass on 80 Mitchell here, there's no guarantee that Downs comes back to me. So this is not the best thought out team. And I also don't necessarily like 80 Mitchell better than Downs. What am I exposed? I have 2% 80 Mitchell, 10% Josh. All right, screw it. I'll take my 80 Mitchell share just to get a little bit more exposure there because I think he's a fine pick. I have concerns that the Colts are just not going to throw the ball that much. So I'm not super in on any of their receivers. I take Downs because he's the last one. I think he's talented. He'll probably have some spike weeks. But I have concerns they're just not going to be throwing that much. It's, you're really with Richardson, you're making the bet that he's going to run a lot. But now I probably need at least 2 more receivers with not week 14 bye. I was talking about that with Fantasy Guru Drew the other night when he was on the stream with me. That was a fun, long stream on, was that Monday night? But my general rule is, and it's not a really stringent rule, it's not based on any kind of data. This is not something that I, read somewhere. Just my general rule. He asked me like how much you're concerned about bye weeks. Like what do you try to do with bye weeks, like within each position? And I think it's generally having outside of the onesie positions, where it's sometimes with the onesie position, it's just like I want to have at least one player expected to be available for each bye week. For running back and wide receiver, it's basically I want to have the number of players necessary plus 1 at least. So like you need at least 2 running backs. I want every week of the season to have at least 3 running backs theoretically available because players are going to get hurt at each position. So I want to have at least, I don't want to have 3 running backs with the week 14 bye and then just one other running back or 2 other running backs that don't have the week 14 bye. I want to have 3 running backs that don't have that bye. For example, at running back, at wide receiver, same thing would be, you need at least 3 wide receivers. I want to have at least 4 wide receivers theoretically available each week. And I do, even at these positions, I tend to think that there is some benefit to, like, I would rather have, if I have 7 receivers, I would prefer to have all of them to have different buys. I do think that there is some slight advantage, even to that. Just having more optionality each week throughout the season. I think there is at least some value to that. Now there's, at some point the returns are not going to be worth it, and I like to double stack with my quarterbacks and such. So like, that's a bigger deal to me. I want to have more correlation with my quarterback than the offsetting buys. Like it's a very minimal thing, but like if there is literally no difference, I'd rather take the different bye weeks. Yeah, Jelani I could do in my indie stack. Is it acceptable to take AR unstacked? Yes. I'm never trying to do it. I would always like to have AR stacked. And different people will tell you different things about whether that is acceptable. Yeah, like the reason you like AR is the rushing upside. Like ideally he's rushing for 70 yards a game. I mean that's probably unrealistic, but just rushing a ton is what you really want from AR. So then you can make the argument maybe you don't need to stack a running quarterback. I do still think that there is a lot of correlation there. And what you're really trying to do is you're trying to beat out 500 people in the final. The easiest way to do that is to get as many correlated players together, crushing together. So you'd love to have, multiple players stacked in that week. Easier to do so. Like the most direct correlation you can find is quarterback with pass catcher. So just like more things you need to get right. If you're taking a naked quarterback, you're taking an even Anthony Richardson, even though what you really want is the rushing floor. It'd be great if you can get Anthony Richardson bringing along a 20-point game from Josh Downs or AD Mitchell, whoever you have stacked with him. I'm going to queue up Dowdle, but I have 23% Dowdle. I have trouble taking could go Tua. All right, there we go. Tua with Waddle. Could have pushed it and taken Aaron Rodgers, but I'd rather get the stack out of the way, not get into a position where somebody else takes Aaron Rodgers ahead of me, and all my pass catchers, quarterbacks are gone, and I have to make a back stack. Easier just get it out of the way. Be done at quarterback. So it's hard for me, even though I really like Ty Chandler and Marshawn Lloyd, it's hard for me to take them ahead of Rico Dowdle because my expectation is that Dowdle is just the starting running back coming in, whereas like these guys have that contingent value, which is great, and I love them where they go, but it's just still like a mental block for me to take a backup running back over a starting running back. Sometimes maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe you need a mix. Do I have any kind of correlations here? Don't have any Eagles. Was Jerome Ford available? Could have gone Jerome Ford as a bring back. I think he was gone. Yeah, I don't see him anywhere though. So my general opinion, to get back to the question, is it okay to take an unstacked Anthony Richardson? Yes, it is okay to take an Anthony Richardson. I still would prefer to stack him if you can. Ever thought through backup quarterbacks as a third quarterback in case of injury? About 50% of starters missed fantasy playoffs last year. I think last year was an outlier. I don't think that's going to happen all that often where most starters are out in the playoffs. So no, I'm not really trying to draft backup running backs. You're only drafting backup quarterbacks. You're only drafting 2 to 3 quarterbacks. So I think it's just too galaxy brain to intentionally draft a backup quarterback unless you are like forced into it because of getting sniped on your quarterbacks. The only backup quarterback that I have drafted so far, well, possibly I've drafted both of the Raiders quarterbacks, so it's possible. So I guess I have drafted a backup quarterback because one of them is a backup quarterback. But the only one that I've really gone out of my way to draft some is Justin Fields. And the reason is just if he does start later in the year, he's just going way too late. Like he's just so awesome as a fantasy play that I think the upside is good enough with Justin Fields that I'm willing to take it when I don't need another position. I'll throw him on. Particularly if I have like a Fryermuth or a Pickens or something, I'm a little bit more willing to do that. Just get that third stack. Like I said, I've done it with the Raiders, but not really intentionally. I draft them hoping that he's going to be the starter. I don't draft either of AOC or Minshew with the thought of like I want him to be the backup and he's going to come on late. Um, haven't I've taken some JJ McCarthy. I guess I kind of expect him to be the backup coming into the year, but I do it because I assume he's going to start at some point, or I do it with the assumption in that lineup that he's going to start at some point, similar to Drake May. Um, so I guess this year I have only because these situations are ambiguous. I've done it with like the Patriots and the Vikings and the Raiders. I've taken some backup quarterback, but it's just like making the guess that they're going to be the starter. And honestly, I draft less of those teams in general because I don't like taking an unambiguous situation. I prefer to just like let's get the guys that we know are going to be the starters is always my intention. Sometimes I get forced into the situation of all right, my quarterbacks are super weak. I need a third quarterback, and none of the remaining quarterbacks are players that I have stacked or have certainty in their situation. So in that case, I'll be like, all right, well, I've got Devonte Adams. I guess I'll make the bet on either Minshew or AOC, or I'll make the bet on the Vikings quarterback. But no, it's not something that I do intentionally. Okay, we're coming back around. And I really think last year was a pretty big outlier. I remember because it was my teams were hurting. I had so many teams that were bubble teams that just had no quarterback at the end. Um, so it was not fun. Who do I want to go with here? Got Bowers. I've been saying I put out a tweet on the Denver running backs, like we talked about a little bit earlier, but they've just been Sean Payton running backs have been awesome, like for the past decade. Scott Barrett put out a tweet. I retweeted it if you want to go check it out. But it's just been like consistently Sean Payton running back rooms have put up a ton of fantasy points, making a bet on that continuing with the Broncos running backs this year. They've got a solid enough offensive line. So I'm taking all of Javonte Williams, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Audric Estime. Not doing the Blake Watson thing because I think he's not going to be that involved. Got Tua. Could close out my running back room here with Jalen Wright. Offsetting bye week. Stacked with my quarterback. Nice value. I like it. Meatwad says, what you just said is why it's hard for me to draft Corum and Benson over Gus and Zeke. I know it sounds gross, but I can just get Sharbs, Lloyd, Algier, etc. later, who some I might honestly like better. I mean, kind of same. It's very hard. Like I rarely draft Corum where he's going now, just because I think he should be going back with those like strong contingent value backup running backs, as opposed to like going ahead of. And I feel like everybody hates Gus Edwards this year. I think I'm the only person who like thinks that he's naturally good pick. I guess I must not be the other one because obviously other people are taking him some, but I just think that he's like very, very clearly the likeliest to be the starting running back on a team that wants to be running the ball on the Chargers. Like, I think the Chargers are going to be running the ball quite a bit. I think Gus Edwards has been pretty good throughout his career. Like he's not a world beating quarterback. He obviously was aided by having Lamar Jackson there, but I think he's good enough. And I think J.K. Dobbins probably hurt. I think Kamani Vidal is a 6th round rookie. Like I think that the strongest bet by far is Gus Edwards right now. Yep, Gus Bus. Like I'm not targeting him to the extent that I'm going to have like 30% Gus, but where he's going, he's just, I think, a strong pick. Corum, I thought was a great pick at like 130. Thought it was a really strong pick there. Now he's going ahead of like people take him over Singletary. I don't know if the ADP is flipped, but pretty similar with Singletary, Chase Brown, Gus Edwards. There's just other starting running backs in that range that feel much safer to me. And I know safety is not everything. You need upside also. Corum clearly does have upside. Like if we do live in a world where Blake Corum is Kyron Williams without the starter role, he has the upside to be Kyron Williams, but there's just no guarantee that he actually is Kyron Williams at the NFL level. Yeah, that's insane. I mean, J.K. Dobbins might just get cut. All right, how's the team looking? We are at 2-6-5-1. A little bit of a different start than usual. Anthony Richardson, 2 at quarterback, probably done. At running back, Joe Mixon, Jalen Warren, Trey Benson, Rico Dowdle, Julian McLaughlin, Jalen Wright at wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Stephon Diggs, Zay Flowers, A.D. Mitchell, and at tight end, Brock Bowers. This will probably be a 2-6-8-2 build. Could be a 2-6-7-3 build. I'm pretty sure I'm done at running back. It's a pretty strong running back room. Definitely needs help at wide receiver. I think I did start what? Yeah, got my first 4 rounds were all wide receiver, so strong start there, but could use some help. Looks like no Wandale on this one. I was kind of hoping to get Wandale as a bring back. Yeah, I like Mims. I've been drafting more Mims than Franklin. I rank him ahead of Franklin. But to me, they're very, very similar bets. I think it's a little bit more likely that Peyton is ready to unleash Mims than Franklin, but that could be a totally wrong read. So I mix in both. How's Ben's team looking? Got Kyler. That's fun. With Harrison. Oh my God. I didn't even, that was stupid of me. I took Marvin Mims. He has the week 14 bye. That was a blunder. I wouldn't have done it if I had put that together. Kind of like Conklin. Conklin with Garrett Wilson, get that secondary stack. Maybe I do that and then just attack. Just going to go 2 tight end. I'm not going to go Jelani in this one. I'm going to go 2 late round receivers that do not have the week 14 bye. I can't believe I did that. I was talking about how like what I really need is receivers that don't have the week 14 bye. I'd like to have, like I said, I want to have at least 4 receivers that don't have the week 14 bye in general. Give myself a little bit of safety in case one of them gets hurt. And then I just draft another week 14 when he's in a tier. Like I could have taken Michael Wilson's in the same tier. Oh, well. I'll draft 2 more. Just doesn't allow me to take Jelani Woods. I don't feel that safe with Jelani Woods anyway. So it's all good. Raccoons and toenails. What the heck is going on here? This is what happens when my guest leaves after the first draft. You just leave me to talk by myself about whatever pops into my head. That's what I talk about. Raccoons and toenails. Yeah. Oh no, Neil. Going against, as the number one bye week bro. I really am just hurting the brand here. Drafting all week 14 buys at wide receiver. But I'll recover. You'll see. I'll make you proud. I will be back tonight, 3 hours from now, recording Playing for Keeps with Nez from the Badge Bros. Hopefully you guys will come back, hang out with us. I always enjoy the audience interaction in that one. Just like if you have any questions for Nez, come ask your questions. Really good guy. I really like Nez. Smart guy. Should be a fun stream. Meatwad, I would never not draft in my flannel thong. Don't you worry about it. In fact, I don't take it off. I am, in fact, a never nude. And I'm always wearing my flannel thong. There are dozens of us. All right, 2 more picks. Both are going to be wide receivers. Neither is going to have a week 14 bye. That's the plan. Still figuring out exactly what I'm doing in the fall on this channel. I have a lot of content planned with various places. But I want to save some of it to actually continue on this channel during the NFL season. I think I'm going to get into some NFL dailies, Underdog dailies. We'll see. Might save my showdown content for here. Unclear. Forget where I was going with this. I started with something I was going to say. Yeah, I don't remember. All right. Probably take one of these Giants. Can always get a late Giants receiver as a bringback. Did Frank Gore select Frank Gore? No. No Frank Gore yet. Probably continue doing the podcast in the fall. All right, we'll go Slayton. With the week 11 bye. So now I've got at least 3 wide receivers in week 14. Appreciate that, Choco Taco. The roller coaster raccoon story and seamless transition to toenail and poop talk. I loved it. Solo Neil got a triple double right now in my stat sheet. That's what I'm going for. There was something else I was thinking I might do on this channel that I was going to bring up, and I'm just completely blanking on what it was. Whatever. We'll figure. Plenty of time to figure it out. I think it was related to my flannel thong story in some way. Not really a story. Get a Tillman share as my bring back on the Miami stack. Oh, this could have been a good Janu team. Didn't get Janu in this one. It's all good. The team is done. It says dailies content in the fall, ripping some best puck. Huge hockey guy, Neil. Yeah. No, I don't think I mean, maybe it's possible. I will, some hockey guy will be like, hey, do you want to do this? I mean, I did a PGA show. I did a long PGA show with my friend R Fresh. I don't know anything about PGA. We just used his rankings. If there's a hockey guy out there who wants to talk some puck, do the rankings, help me draft teams, give me a little sweat throughout the NHL season, maybe. You never know. My MLB teams, I took an experimental approach to MLB best ball. The problem was I knew so little that like I didn't know I was drafting players that like were out the first half of the year and I didn't realize that. So like you kind of need to know those things. And I just on a whim kind of decided to do some MLB best balls late, and it's not going well for me. I think one advancing team out of 38. The expectation would have been 7 if I had just drafted average. So, and I also I thought I would get better after Acuna went down because I got 0 101s, didn't get Acuna at all. So I was like, all right, well that's better for me if he gets hurt. And they've just been dropping. I had 4 last week. I had 4 teams advancing, and they just all got crushed. I don't know if I drafted an excessive number of players that got hurt because I feel like I drafted within the parameters, like the position wise that people told me to. I don't know. Didn't go well for me, MLB. But it was my first real attempt at it, and I didn't really do much research on it. Was just drafting by ADP. All right. So we end up with Anthony Richardson and Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. At running back, we have Joe Mixon, Jalen Warren, Trey Benson, Rico Dowdle, Jaleel McLaughlin, Jalen Wright. At wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Stephon Diggs, Zay Flowers, A.D. Mitchell, Marvin Mims, Darius Slayton, Cedric Tillman. And at tight end, Brock Bowers and Tyler Conklin. Got Anthony Richardson paired with A.D. Mitchell. We got the bring back of Darius Slayton. And then we have Tua paired with Jalen Wright, and Jalen Waddle have the bring back of Cedric Tillman. I think quarterback wise, strong enough. Anthony Richardson too. I think that's a fun quarterback room. Running backs, we get the fairly early Joe Mixon for a 0 RB bro. We got 3 starters. Strong contingent value in Benson. Strong, not real. I don't know if you call Jaleel McLaughlin a starter, but he's like a 1B. So the lightning back for Denver. Jalen Wright, we call him double contingent value. We don't know if that's actually true, but we're all making the claim that if either Raheem Mostert or Devin Achane goes down, Jalen Wright is just going to be, one of the 2 running backs, and he's going to score 20 fantasy points a game. That's a story we're telling ourselves. Who knows if it's true? Strong, top 4 receivers in the first 4 rounds, all very good. A.D. Mitchell pairing Marvin Mims, a mistake because of the bye, but I like him. I like him as a late round pick. And then we make up for it with Slayton and Tillman, different bye weeks. Don't have that week 14. Bowers, Tyler Conklin. It's a little bit light, but if Bowers is good right away, could be fine. Anybody have a team you want me to look at? That's a good idea, Chaco. Speaking of easy coming on the stream next Monday night. We're going to do some drafting. Looking forward to that. If anybody has a team in this draft you want me to take a look at, I'm happy to do so. Just let me know now. I'll give it, 30 seconds or a minute. Don't hear from anybody. I'm going to call it a stream until 9 o'clock tonight with Nez. All right, we'll check out D Mozone's team. Mozone goes with Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. At running back, Josh Jacobs, Blake Corum, Zach Charbonnet, Kendry Miller, Miles Sanders. At wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, JSN, Jamison Williams, Tyler Lockett, Jalen McMillan. Tight end, Trey McBride, and Luke Musgrave. I like that tight end room because that is the exact same tight end room we drafted in the previous draft. Let's take a look. All right, Baker with Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan. Bring back Carolina. Deontay Johnson, love that. Miles Sanders. Geno Smith with Zach Charbonnet. JSN, Tyler Lockett. Bring back of DJ Moore, love that. And then he has J.J. McCarthy as a third quarterback paired with Justin Jefferson. Bring back of Luke Musgrave and Josh Jacobs. So love that. Love the correlations. I'm a little bit concerned about your running back room. You only have one, what I consider starting running back coming in. I think you have some pretty strong, you have some of the stronger contingent bets in Blake Corum, obviously very strong if anything happens to Kyron. I think Davis said on the show yesterday, he puts it at about a 5% chance that Blake Corum is just the starter if nothing happens to Kyron. I think that's probably a fair number. It seems pretty unlikely, but I think 5% is probably reasonable. We make the assumption because Kyron was so good last year that he's just going to be the starter again this year, but he's not the most athletic guy. Blake Corum, Sean McVay has said really nice things about. Could be a more of a split than we're expecting. I think is, I think it's unlikely that Blake Corum is just the guy because I think Kyron was good enough that it would be surprising. But Zach Charbonnet obviously should have some standalone value to start the year. Kendry Miller, who knows what the situation is with Alvin Kamara. Miles Sanders, maybe has a bigger role than we're expecting until Jonathan Brooks comes back. But it's a thin running back room a little bit. I probably would have been a 6 running back build for me. Wide receiver is obviously very strong. When you're getting Jameis Williams as your 6th receiver and you throw on 2 more, it's a dense, good wide receiver room. Yeah, I think it's a little bit. The running back room is my biggest concern there. Maybe you can get away with it. Yeah, pretty fragile, as you say. Let's see. Jeremy asks if this team is any better than his first. All right, so Jeremy goes Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy at quarterback. Love that. David Montgomery, Najee Harris, Zeke Elliott, Nick Chubb, Bucky Irving, Damian Pierce at running back, Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, Devonta Smith, Rashid Shaheed, Jermaine Burton, Rashad Bateman, Tez Walker, Luke McCaffrey at wide receiver, and at tight end, Dalton Kincaid and George Kittle. So I think it's better already. So you got Lamar Jackson paired up with Bateman and Walker. Got the bring back from Houston of Damian Pierce. Then you've got Brock Purdy paired with Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. Bring back of David Montgomery. I think just Montgomery, right? Yep, just Montgomery. So strong correlations with the quarterback. Love to see that. Quarterback room, totally strong enough. Running back room, probably good enough. I think that's good enough running back room. You got 6 total. You got your Montgomery, Najee should start right away. Zeke might start right away. He might be better than we think he is. Chubb could come back and start later. Hard to say. Bucky Irving, probably strong contingent value. Might have some standalone value. Damian Pierce, strong contingent value. Very strong at wide receiver, I would say. I shouldn't say very strong. Your top 3, very, very strong. Rashid Shaheed, I like as a, where he's going. I think pick 100, totally fair. Burton, wide receiver, I like. Bateman, Walker, you go deep with wide receiver, and obviously very, very strong at tight end. Yeah, I think this is much, much better than the team you drafted in the first draft. I like that team. Benjamin in the 11 hole. Kyler Murray and Drake May at quarterback. Zamir White, Brian Robinson, Tyjae Spears, Marshawn Lloyd, Antonio Gibson, Eli Mitchell, Will Shipley at running back. At wide receiver, Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison, Tank Dell, Romo Dunze, Rashi Rice, Demario Douglas, Javon Baker, and at tight end, Sam Laporta and Pat Fryermuth. So you got Kyler with Marvin Harrison. Got the bring back from the Rams of Puka Nacua. Then you have Drake May with Antonio Gibson. I like that pairing. Pop Douglas and Javon Baker. Any Chargers on this one? No, it's Chargers, right? Wait, yeah, Chargers play the Chargers play the Patriots. Okay, but strong within the team correlation. Slight concern about Drake May in a 2 quarterback build, just because I'm not convinced he's going to start the year. But you have Kyler, who's a pretty strong QB1, so you might be okay with just those 2. I'm usually drafting Drake May on 3 quarterback rooms personally, but it could, hopefully you just need him to be in there by week 11. Otherwise, maybe Kyler can carry you until Drake May is a starter. Running back room, pretty strong in my opinion. You got 2 starters for sure. Tyjae, he's like the 1B kind of a starter, has standalone value. Marshawn Lloyd has standalone value. There are some people who think he might actually be, I bet it's a split at like a 60-40 split in that kind of range, one way or the other with Marshawn Lloyd. I think Gibson, a pretty strong, like has some standalone and contingent value in New England. Mitchell, awesome contingent value. Shipley, strong contingent value, probably. Nice wide receivers. Yeah, I like that team too. Nice tight ends. That's a strong team in my opinion. Are you betting on a trade with Sanders or Brooks not playing much? Yeah, they're outs there for Miles Sanders for sure. JWH wants a review of the painting behind me. That painting is actually posted here. Oh, there you go. Those 2 paintings, as I was setting up my office, I went down to my basement to find whatever paintings we had there in the basement in storage, and found these paintings. I said, oh my God, look at these beautiful paintings. I love these paintings. And I brought them upstairs to my wife and I said, where did these paintings come from? I've never seen these paintings before. I really like them. And she was like, those are paintings that I made. She painted them at there's a wine and painting, like drinking wine and painting event at some point. I think before we ever met, she went to a wine and painting event and painted a couple paintings. That one right there is the Spoon and Cherry. It is at the Walker Art Center in Minneapolis. The other one, I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is, but those are the paintings. You can review them if you like. My plan is, I think for the background, what I'm going to do is a shelf right behind me of some sort. I'd like to get my bobbleheads a little bit closer. I think I need to upgrade the background here. It's just not a great streaming background. Been doing this long enough, frequently enough. I should probably try to upgrade that. So I think I'm going to get some shelves of some sort behind me, put up my bobbleheads there, something on display. Haven't figured out exactly what I'm doing there yet. Appreciate that. JWH, I'll tell my wife that you think the painting is a 10 out of 10. I do. I like the paint. I like the colors. I like that it's a local theme. All right. So 9:00 Eastern tonight, coming back, the Playing for Keeps channel with Nez. Gonna, have a beer, just chat it up with Nez. Always a fun time doing the podcast, the live podcast streams. But I always appreciate, audience questions as well. So if you guys are available tonight, come hang with me and Nez. Should be fun. Anything else? Oh, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Always trying to grow the channel. We are at 1784, so we are a little over 200 away from the 2000 mark. That is the goal right now. I want to get to 2000 before the NFL season. Bobby Lane says, that story was so wholesome. It made me want to make love to my wife. I'm glad to hear that, Bobby. I was trying to turn people on with my stories on this channel. Thank you guys for hanging out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I'd appreciate it. Like the video, always helps me out. If you have a comment, leave a comment. That always helps with the algo as well. Thanks, guys. Come hang out at 9 o'clock tonight with me and Nez. I'll catch you later.